Chapter 4679. Except for Jiang Haishan himself, Duan Lingtian and Hong Dongchuan, no one expected Jiang Haishan to end at this time. They all felt that Jiang Haishan, as the strongest 9-level entrant in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, should not end up now. Is it possible that the Emperor knows that Duan Lingtian is not this old opponent? So, do you think there is no need for him to end? In Jianglan Divine Kingdom, both Xiao Zhennan and Hua Ruo think so now. Over at the Kuhai Temple, several people led by Divine Monk Yu Hao are actually confused now. What's happening here? Why did Jiang Haishan end up entering the 9th level and ending up so quickly? The old man holding the crutch couldn't help but frown at this time, and then his eyes fell on Duan Lingtian like lightning, and he said in a deep voice, "Duan Lingtian, you think you are no match for me, so you are dismissed. Courage is there's none." Although his strength is considered relatively strong among the 8th level, he still thinks that he cannot compare with the 9th level. With Jiang Haishan at his end, he could only admit defeat and there was no need to take action. When Duan Lingtian heard the boss calling him, his eyes turned to him, and he smiled lightly and said, "If you feel this way, that's fine. Just be happy." Hearing this, the old man's face darkened. What else? Is it possible that you can be stronger than Prince Jiang Haishan? Guessed it right, but there's no prize. Duan Lingtian glanced at the elder in surprise, but he didn't expect that the other party was not stupid enough to guess this. As Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Tuor, the black-robed and bald man at the Kuhai Temple, couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Duan Lingtian, what are you pretending to be here? Do you really think that we don't know your details? Some time ago, didn't you just compete with Hong Dongchuan in Jianglan Divine Kingdom and beat him? Your strength is pretty good at the 8th level of the Dao, but if you want to compare with me, you're not up to par. You don't dare to end now. Don't you have self-awareness and know that you are not an old opponent?" When the words fell, Tua's face was filled with a sarcastic smile. Duan Lingtian smiled, his eyes falling on Tuor with disdain. "They say ugly people tend to make mischief. In my opinion, losers also like to talk too much." One sentence made Tuor Yi furious and angrily asked, "Who do you think is a waste?" "Talking to you." Duan Lingtian smiled, "Otherwise, who do you think you are talking about? You dash." Tuor was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. He could imagine that Duan Lingtian was stronger than him, so in the end he could only suppress the anger in his heart. His body was shaking violently, but he did not dare to take action. At this time, Divine Monk Yu Hao came to his rescue. "Tuor, how Jianglan Divine Kingdom arranges it is Jianglan Divine Kingdom's business, and neither you nor the elder should have any say in it." After he finished speaking, he looked at the old man with a cane and said, "Boss, since Emperor Jiang Haishan is going to die personally, you should just admit defeat." "Yes, holy monk." The old man on crutches responded respectfully, and then retreated. He had no intention of fighting by Haishan, because fighting was just looking for abuse, and there was no way to help the two people behind to consume by Haishan's strength, because the gap was too big. Just when everyone in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, including Duan Lingtian, thought that at Kuhai Temple, Divine Monk Yu Hao would end up in person. But he didn't expect that he would not end up. But another monk ended up. "Prince Haishan, let this young monk learn your clever trick. The one who is going to die now is none other than another middle-aged monk who has been standing behind the Divine Monk Yu Hao and has no sense of presence." Duan Lingtian also just came from Hong Dongchuan learned from his mouth that the other party was a member of the main temple of Kuhai Temple. A strong person who has entered the 8th level. According to Hong Dongchuan, in terms of strength, he should be slightly inferior to Lao Lao. But now, he has stood up. For a moment, not only Duan Lingtian was a little surprised, but even other people in Jianglan Divine Kingdom were also shocked. Jiang Haishan's pupils shrank slightly, and he took a deep look at the middle-aged monk in front of him. "It seems that now I should call you Baiyang Divine Monk." He naturally knew this monk named Baiyang. The duel 1,000 years ago was only at the 8th level of the Dao. His strength was comparable to Hong Dongquan's, and the two ended in a draw. Thousands of years later, he came down again and faced him. Where does the courage come from? Even the boss, who he originally thought was stronger than Bai Yang, backed down when facing him, but he ended up. What does it mean? It means that he must have entered the 9th level of the Tao. Monk Yuhao, your Kuhai temple is really keeping things secret. First there was an old man, and then there was the Baiyang divine monk. Jiang Haishan looked at divine monk Yuhao and sighed with a complicated expression. If Duan Lingtian had not entered the 9th level, even if Duan Lingtian took action this time, their Jianglan divine kingdom would definitely be defeated. Fortunately, Duan Lingtian has already entered the 9th level and is stronger than him. Therefore, this time their Jianglan kingdom is still stable. Next. During the battle between Jiang Haishan and Baiyang divine monk, Duan Lingtian and others watched from a distance. The fight caused the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. The terrifying power of entering the 9th level of the Tao, combined with the Tao they mastered, was extremely powerful. Every time an offensive was launched, the sky was blocked and the sun was blocked. Momentum force. So hard. Do you want to hurt Jiang Haishan? Soon, Duan Lingtian saw the clues. Although the Baiyang divine monk and Jiang Haishan were both at the 9th level, their strength was obviously inferior and he could not be Jiang Haishan's opponent. And even under this situation, he still had a desperate style of play, which greatly increased the pressure on Jiang Haishan. In the end, he was defeated by Jiang Haishan, but Jiang Haishan was also injured. He spurted 3 big mouthfuls of blood, and his breath became weak. On the other hand, the Baiyang divine monk was even worse. His sternum was sunken, his face was pale, and he was covered in blood. His body was shaky, as if he might collapse at any time. If divine monk Yuhao hadn't admitted defeat, his life would have been in danger if the fight continued. Monk Baiyang is really hardworking. Jiang Haishan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, glanced at the Baiyang monk who was supported by Han Zheng and Tuo, and smiled coldly. I'm not as good as Emperor Haishan. Although the white rock priest's face was covered with blood, he still had a smile on his face, which was so creepy that it made people stand on end. Prince Haishan, it's our turn. Divine monk Yuhao had no intention of letting Jiang Haishan rest and left the game directly. At this moment, everyone present at the Kuhai temple, including monk Yuhao himself, felt that this time the Enter Dao showdown was stable, and their Kuhai temple would win again. After hearing what monk Yuhao said, Jiang Haishan shook his head and smiled, then retreated away from the battle. Monk Yuhao, your opponent is not me. Almost at the moment Jiang Haishan finished speaking, a purple figure, Feng Shu, came from the wind and entered the battle, confronting monk Yuhao with calm eyes. And stand. Chapter 4680. Divine monk Yuhao was dressed in a black monk's robe that moved with the wind. His benevolent brows revealed a bit of majesty, but at the moment he was staring at the young man in purple who was confronting him, and he couldn't help but have a look of astonishment on his face. Just because this was a scene he never expected. He originally thought that the anti-divine sword Duan Lingtian, who had caused quite a storm in Jianglan Divine Kingdom some time ago, was an 8th-level existence more powerful than Hong Dongchuan. The trump card he found this time, Laro Laro, was enough to easily deal with it. When Laro Laro came off the field and prepared to fight him, but he didn't come off, he just thought it was because he was not sure of defeating Laro Laro. But I didn't expect that the other party would end at this time. Although being the boss is his trump card, it is only the first small trump card. The biggest trump card is the second person who has been promoted to the 9th level of the main temple of Kuhai Temple, that is, the White Rock Divine Monk. Jiang Haishan's strength is not weak. Even though he was lucky enough to defeat Jiang Haishan 1,000 years ago, he doesn't think he can safely defeat Jiang Haishan this time. Because, over the millennia, his improvement has been minimal. Therefore, he planned to let Divine Monk Baiyang use all his strength to injure Jiang Haishan, so that Jiang Haishan would not pose a threat to him. Now, Baiyang Divine Monk has lived up to expectations and wounded Jiang Haishan. He had already expected that in the next scene, either Jiang Haishan would admit defeat, or he would defeat the injured Jiang Haishan. However, he never expected that when Jiang Haishan gave up the fight with him, Duan Lingtian from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, who he thought had given up, would end up facing him. At this moment, an ominous premonition arose in his heart. How can this be? You actually let him face Monk Yuhao? At this moment, not only Divine Monk Yuhao himself, but also the other 4 people at the Kuhai temple were looking at Du and Lingtian with shock and suspicion, and waves of turmoil arose in their hearts. Even Xiao Zhennan and Hua Ruo from Jianglan Divine Kingdom looked horrified at this time. What's happening here? In fact, just now Xiao Zhennan and Hua Ruo were very puzzled that Du and Lingtian did not end up fighting against the boss. Until now, their hearts were shaken, and a crazy thought vaguely arose. It turns out that this piece of Lingtian wasn't a trump card used by Emperor Jiang Haishan to deal with the elders at the Kuhai temple. Is it used to deal with divine monk Yu Hao? It's just that I'm blind. Divine monk Yu Hao took a deep look at Du and Lingtian and said, "It seems that your anti-sword has entered the 9th level of the Dao in recent days." As soon as he opened his mouth, he called Du and Lingtian by his name. It was obvious that he already knew about Du and Lingtian's existence. "Please give me some advice from the holy monk." Du and Lingtian smiled indifferently, his eyes were calm and unruffled. On the other hand, Jiang Haishan, although he was injured and looked slightly pale, there was a smile on his lips. Prince Haishan is very confident. Is it possible that the strength of this anti-sword after he enters the 9th level of the Dao will put even you, Emperor Haishan, to shame? Divine monk Yu Hao saw the smile on Jiang Haishan's lips, looked at him deeply, and asked tentatively. Jiang Haishan shook his head and smiled. "Monk Yu Hao, you don't need to test me. How strong is Du and Lingtian? You'll know if you try it." But secretly slandering in my heart, fortunately, it was just a discussion. Otherwise, you will die if you try. Then let me learn how to use the anti-god sword. Divine monk Yu Hao let out a soft drink, and the black monk's robes on his body shook, and the power that had been prepared for a long time was released. In the blink of an eye, the whole person continued to grow and collide, and finally turned into a giant as towering as a mountain. This is also the path that monk Yu Hao majors in, the path of giants. This kind of Dao, Yu Hao divine monk has already understood the 9th level, and it is with the help of the giant Dao that he has entered the 9th level of the Dao. Boom! Boom! After the body of divine monk Yu Hao grew larger, the power in his body vibrated and spread out, seemingly endlessly. The infinite way. Moreover, it is the infinite path of the 7th level. Du and Lingtian is very familiar with this kind of aura. Not only that, after the infinite way appeared, the power in the hands of divine monk Yu Hao condensed into a long stick like the Dinghai divine needle. There was a faint halo flowing around the long stick, exuding a rich and domineering aura. This is also the 3rd way mastered by divine monk Yu Hao. Stick Road. Moreover, he has already realized the 6th level. Boom! There was a loud noise, and divine monk Yu Hao took the lead to take action. His momentum was like a rainbow, and he rushed out in the void. The figure that covered the sky and the sun rushed towards Du and Lingtian with a mighty momentum. The long stick in his hand vibrated, and there was a continuous sound of explosions. Fear the aftermath of its power rages across all directions. His move immediately made the onlookers present except Jiang Haishan look solemn, and they all gathered their strength to resist the aftermath of the attack. After all, this is a super strong person who has entered the 9th level. If you can't get along, the experts at this level are the most tyrannical. And the other side. Facing the menacing divine monk Yu Hao, Du and Lingtian looked calm and raised his hand casually. In an instant, the power from the 9th level of the Dao roared into the sky, and soon condensed into a giant sword in the sky. The power around the giant sword vibrated endlessly, giving people a feeling that it was more majestic than the infinite power of the monk Yu Hao. This piece of Lingtian's infinite way is stronger than the 7th level infinite way of monk Yu Hao. Several people at the Bitter Sea Temple were shocked. And as Du and Lingtian's condensed giant sword of the sky fell, the void shook again, as if a faint shadow could be vaguely seen, as if it could control all things, pushing the giant sword to crush it and fall, facing the menacing attack. Monk Yu Hao! Call out! The giant sword of the sky crashed down and collided with the giant stick in the hand of the monk Yu Hao. After a brief stalemate, waves of terrifying power erupted and raged, creating endless wind. Boom! With a loud noise, the giant sword in the sky was vibrating, with an indomitable momentum, as if it was invincible. The pressure made the face of the divine monk Yu Hao change greatly, and then turned pale. Then the giant stick in his hand was crushed and shattered, and the whole sword was crushed. People were also blown away. Wow dash. Divine Monk Yu Hao flew out upside down, opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of rich blood. Halfway through, his huge body no longer appeared, replaced by his original normal figure. Apparently 3 of them were broken by Duan Lingshan's sword. In the duel at the 9th level of the Dao, 1 sword shattered 3 Dao. Complete crushing. Different from the injured and embarrassed Monk Yu Hao, on the other side, a young man in purple stood there, holding a slightly dim sky sword, his face unchanged, his eyes indifferent, as if he had just done something insignificant. Matter. This level of disparity in strength does not apply to others. Even Jiang Haishan and Hong Dongchuan, who knew that Duan Lingtian was very powerful, couldn't help but gasp. His strength has become stronger again? Chapter 4681. Duan Lingtian took action and wounded and defeated Divine Monk Yu Hao with just 1 sword strike. While Hong Dongchuan and Jiang Haishan were also frightened, the other onlookers were stunned for a while and could not recover for a long time. They never dreamed that Duan Lingtian would have such terrifying strength. Especially the old man on crutches. After he came to his senses, his old face couldn't help but twitch sharply. Thinking of his previous arrogance, he wanted to dig a hole and hide in it. How could he be so strong? Tuor, a bald and strong man in black robe, looked at Han Zheng, who was holding a folding fan. His eyes were full of confusion. At the same time, he asked through a voice transmission, Han Zheng, didn't you say that you found him out clearly? This is what you call clear out. Chew. The corner of Han Zheng's mouth twitched and he said helplessly, he hid it too deeply. Don't you think that in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, except for Jiang Haishan and Hong Dongchuan, the other 2 people don't know that he is a Taoist? 9th floor. Look at Jiang with the current expressions on Haishan and Hong Dongchuan, they probably didn't expect Duan Lingtian to have such terrifying strength. Perhaps, in their eyes, Duan Lingtian is only slightly stronger than Divine Monk Yu Hao. Now that he defeated Divine Monk Yu Hao with 1 sword, he obviously shocked them. The Baiyang Divine Monk did not speak, but his eyes towards Duan Lingtian were full of complexity. He never expected that this time they, the Kuhai Temple, had 2 trump cards, but in the end they lost to the only one from the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. A trump card. Your Jianglan Kingdom is hidden too deep. Han Zheng looked at Duan Lingtian and said with a wry smile, with the strength of this anti-god sword, if he is the first to die, he may be able to kill the 5 of us with his own strength. At this time, Xiao Zhennan and Hua Ruo from Jianglan Divine Kingdom also came back to their senses. When they looked at Duan Lingtian, their previous calmness was no longer there, replaced by horror and respect. After this battle, this Nishenjian will become the first person under the Hadao realm of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. It won't be long before his name will spread throughout the world of gods and earth. Although there are many powerful people in the Hadao realm in the world of gods and earth, there are only a few dozen people in the world of gods and earth. It is quite famous in the area of. Just like Divine Monk Yu Hao of Kuhai Temple and Jiang Haishan of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, they are both powerful practitioners who are famous in the world of gods and earth. Anyone in the world of gods and earth who pays attention to the top experts in the Dao knows about their existence. Prince Haishan, this time our Kuhai Temple is convinced of our defeat. Divine Monk Yu Hao finally regained his breath, glanced at Duan Lingtian fearfully, and then looked at Jiang Haishan, his face full of bitterness and helplessness. I thought I could capture another Hadao monument from your Jianglan Divine Kingdom this time, but I didn't expect it. Something unexpected happened. This defeat was something I never expected, and it was also something none of us here expected. Your Jianglan Divine Kingdom really has a dark horse. Different from the helplessness of Divine Monk Yu Hao, Jiang Haishan had a bright smile on his face, but he still said modestly, Monk Yu Hao, previously, I thought I would definitely lose this time. Fortunately, my brother Hong introduced Brother Ling Tian. This allowed our Jianglan Divine Kingdom to make a comeback. Accepted. Seeing the pride on Jiang Haishan's face, Divine Monk Yu Hao had the urge to punch him. At the same time, he felt helpless and puzzled. 1,000 years later, if Duan Lingtian still represents Jianglan Divine Kingdom in the Dao duel, what should they do in Kuhai Temple? Headache. Although he was defeated, Divine Monk Yu Hao's enthusiasm as the host remained undiminished. and he invited Duan Lingtian and others to the main temple of Kuhai Temple as guests. Duan Lingtian also knew that this had been a past practice, and after entering the Dao Duel, he would have the opportunity to directly facing the Hadao strongman of the force that hosted the Dao Duel, listen to his sermon. Thousands of years ago, the Taoist duel in Jianglan Divine Kingdom was defeated, and the people from Kuhai Temple still stayed there as guests, listening to the sermons of the powerful Taoist from the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but look forward to it. In the previous epiphany when he was walking in the temple city of Kuhai Temple, his infinite way almost rushed directly into the 9th floor, and successfully combined with his sword way. It's just a small step away. The path to infinity is still only infinitely close to the 9th level and has not yet been entered. Once he steps in, he is sure that with the feeling left over from his previous enlightenment, he should be able to quickly take the next step, successfully combine the Tao, and master the infinite sword Tao. Which two kinds of Tao does the strong Taoist in Kuhai Temple combine? When following the people from Kuhai Temple to the main temple of Kuhai Temple, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but send a message to ask Jiang Haishan. Jiang Haishan immediately sent a message and responded, "The strong man who combines the Tao is the Sanskrit Tao and the infinite Tao." Hearing this, Duan Lingtian suddenly became excited. Fanyin said that this was the first time he heard it and he didn't feel anything at all. But the infinite way is what he has mastered now. Except for the way of swordsmanship, the latecomers are on top and are about to enter the 9th level of the way. If this time, through the sermon of the powerful Hadao man from Kuhai Temple, my infinite path can reach the 9th level. This bitter sea temple is definitely my blessed place, Duan Lingtian said secretly. As for why once he successfully breaks through the infinite way this time, he will no longer help Jianglan Divine Kingdom to deal with Kuhai Temple in the Dao Duel in 1,000 years, but he has never thought about it. Just because he never thought that he would still be a Taoist after 1,000 years. However, Duan Lingtian didn't think so, but someone reminded him. The message from Divine Monk Yuhao came, "Brother Lingtian, if you no longer participate in the Dao Duel between our Kuhai Temple and Jianglan Divine Kingdom after 1,000 years, we here at Kuhai Temple can grant you a request within our ability." He felt Duan Lingtian's strength personally. Even in 1,000 years, he doesn't think he can be his opponent. As for the Baiyang Divine Monk, he is not even as good as him, let alone compared with Duan Lingtian. Hearing this message, Duan Lingtian was stunned for a moment, and then he was overjoyed. "Didn't you come to give him a pillow just after he fell asleep?" "I've thought about it, and I'll give you an answer before I leave the Kuhai Temple." Duan Lingtian responded. He had thought about it, and he must agree to it, because he didn't think that he would still be just a small initiate in 1,000 years. As for why he doesn't agree now, it's because he hasn't thought of any conditions yet. Let's first see if the sermon of the strong man from the Sea of Bitter Sea Temple's Hadao realm can help him take the infinite path a step further and step into the 9th level. Now, he has two plans in mind. It all depends on whether the infinite way can go further after the other party preaches. Chapter 4682. Soon, under the leadership of Divine Monk Yuhao, Duan Lingtian and others went to the main temple of Kuhai Temple and saw the Hadao realm strongman from Kuhai Temple. This is an old monk with white eyebrows. He is wearing a grey-white cassock. He looks ordinary. He is sitting cross-legged in the ancient and vicissitudes of the Buddhist temple. If you don't use your eyes to see it, but just use your spiritual sense to scan out, it will be difficult to find him. He was sitting there with his eyes closed and meditating. "Grandmaster, the guests have arrived." Monk Yuhao bowed respectfully. Jiang Haishan brought 4 members of the Jianglan Divine Kingdom into Taoism, and met the Yongye Divine Monk. Jiang Haishan followed and spoke in a respectful tone. After all, this was a strong man in the Hadao realm who stood at the pinnacle of the world of gods and earth. No matter how strong a master in the Dao realm was, it was not worth mentioning in front of him. Duan Lingtian is considered to be strong. He has entered the 9th level of Taoism and has understood the 3 kinds of Dao very well. But if he were to face the Yongye Divine Monk, he would not be able to resist even a single blow from the Yongye Divine Monk. He would be disabled even if he was not dead. "I've seen the Eternal Night Monk." At this time, Both Duan Lingtian and Hong Dongchuan and the other 4 people from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, as well as the other 3 people from Kuhai Temple except Baiyang Divine Monk, all looked at Yongyi with awe. Divine Monk. The Eternal Night Monk is not only the most powerful person in the Kuhai Temple, but also the belief of the people in the Kuhai Temple. His status in their eyes is so high that no one can replace him. Even though he is an old man with a cane, the reason why he is willing to represent the Bitter Sea Temple in the Dao Dao Showdown with Jianglan Divine Kingdom after appearing in seclusion for many years is because he knows that no matter he wins or loses, he will have the opportunity to hear this. A sermon. Duan Lingtian looked at the white-browed old monk in front of him. This was also the first time in his life that he had seen a strong man in the Hadao realm who had surpassed the 9th level of Dao. You must know that in all the worlds he was in before, and even in the places outside the world, not to mention after the historical separation, even before the historical separation, the most powerful existence that appeared was the 9th level of the Dao. It is not said that anyone can go back to forward take a step forward. Even for the old man Wukong whose memory he merged with, in the eyes of the other party, the only thing beyond the 9th level of the Dao, which is the 7th level of the most powerful, is the Dao of Heaven. In the past, the so-called way of heaven in all realms, and even in places outside the realm, was mysterious and unpredictable in his eyes. It wasn't until he came to the world of gods and earth that he realized that the so-called way of heaven was just the rules determined by the strong men in the Hadao realm in the world of gods and earth after they obtained the creation life chart. In other words, the way of heaven is the master of the creation chart. In addition, he has basically figured out one thing. That is, before and after the historical separation of the world and the land outside the world, the so-called way of heaven is actually not controlled by the same person, or it is not the same person. The person in front has cultivated the Tao of taboo life sacrifice to the 9th level, and is only one step away from integrating it into his other already integrated Tao. Once successful, he will become the top being in the world of gods and earth. The 3 paths merge into one, and he is the sealing powerhouse in the world of gods and earth. Looking at the contemporary world, there are only a handful of such peerless expert. However, later he was besieged, severely injured and died tragically, and the creation life chart was also taken away and divided into several parts. It was at that time that the world in the creation life chart collapsed, and old man Wukong died, desperately trying to survive. Only by protecting it, he was able to leave a complete memory in his own place of ruins, and finally it was obtained by Duan Lingtian after the history was cut off. It was not at all what the old man Wukong had guessed. Why was heaven afraid that someone like him would surpass him at the 9th level, so he wanted to kill him? In the creation life chart world, the limit that can be reached by cultivation is the 9th level of the most powerful, which is equivalent to the 9th level of the Tao. It was not until many years later that someone gathered together the parts of the creation chart, reorganized the creation chart, and practiced the forbidden life sacrifice method. Only then did the world in the creation chart reopen from chaos and gradually recover. At the same time, under the influence of God, did the 2 world catch you? A few people were thrown into the creation horoscope space, where they were allowed to reproduce. And Duan Lingtian is the life that spawned from the group of people from the divine earth world. Not only him, but all the people he knew in the world and beyond were all beings born later. However, the new owner of the creation life chart, who had only reached the 8th level in his cultivation of the taboo of life sacrifice, was caught. He made the same mistake as the old owner of the creation life chart and escaped with serious injuries, but he still managed to escape. Taking away the destroyed creation chart, this is better than the old owner of the creation chart. After all, the old master failed to take away the creation chart. Hello everyone. The Yongye divine monk opened his eyes dimmed, and his whole person looked more and more ordinary, but no one dared to underestimate him. After all, they all knew that he was a strong man in Hadao. I didn't expect that I would have the opportunity to see the existence that came out of the world of creation and destiny. The eyes of Yongye divine monk quickly fell on Duan Lingtian. In your body, there is life born in the world of creation and destiny. The breath. Some time ago, although I did not participate in the encirclement and suppression of the new master of the creation life chart, I was when Pan was injured and countless lives fell into the world of gods and earth, he still sensed many strange auras coming into the world. It was precisely because of this that he knew that Duan Lingtian's aura was different from the aborigines of the divine land world, and belonged to the aura of life born in the creation lifepan world. Duan Lingtian asked curiously and soon learned this from the other party. Ancestor. At this time, divine monk Yuhao smiled bitterly and said, "This time, our Kuhai temple was defeated." When the words fell, his eyes were full of self-blame. The Yongye divine monk's expression remained unchanged. He continued to look at Duan Lingtian, and asked in a calm tone, "Is it because of him?" "Yes." Divine monk Yuhao nodded. "Brother Duan Lingtian is far more powerful than me. Not only has the way of swordsmanship reached the 9th level, but the way of infinity and control have also reached at least the 8th level." As soon as these words came out, the dim eyes of the Yongye divine monk suddenly became brighter. And everyone else, except Jiang Haishan and the white-eyed monk, were all shocked. Even Hong Dongchuan, although he had witnessed Duan Lingtian easily defeat the divine monk Yuhao before, he never expected that Duan Lingtian would take such an amazing step and comprehend the other 2 ways to the 8th level. It was simply outrageous. Doesn't this mean that as long as one of the 2 Dao steps into the 9th level, Duan Lingtian can try to combine it? Once her Dao is successful, another powerful person in the Herdao realm will be born in the world of gods and earth. The lives in the creation world are all descendants of people from the world of gods and earth. Their talents are not bad. However, for you to have come this far, your talents are already top-notch. Herdao, for you in terms, it should not be difficult matter. The Yongye divine monk spoke again, looking at Duan Lingtian with a look that was obviously more friendly. Duan Lingtian cupped his hands and smiled slightly. "I hope that your next sermon, the Holy Monk, will give me more insights and even make me one step further on the infinite path." Chapter 4683. The Yongye divine monk smiled happily. "So, I can't hide my secrets in the following sermon. If it can help Duan Lingtian take that step, it will be a good thing for him and the Bitter Sea Temple. This is equivalent to giving Duan Lingtian a favor. Monk Yongye, from what you said, could it be that you were hiding something secret when you preached in the past?" Jiang Haishan shook his head and smiled. "Haha. Just kidding. However, since little friend Duan Lingtian is here today, I will tell you in more detail. I hope it can be of help to you and help you to take a step further." The Yongye divine monk also smiled, and then looked at Duan Lingtian with soft eyes, intent on giving him a favor. Of course, he also knew in his heart that if he sent out this favor, the other party might not be able to receive it. However, he still planned to try. "Thank you, divine monk Yongye." Duan Lingtian thanked him profusely. Ever since Duan Lingtian easily defeated divine monk Yuhao, among the people of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, he seemed to have replaced Jiang Haishan and become the most dazzling existence. Next, everyone listened quietly to the sermon of the Yongye divine monk. During this process, it was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to feel that the Yongye divine monk was not out of touch just now. He really meant to preach for him. Whenever he talked about the infinite way, the depth of his analysis showed his good intentions. And Duan Lingtian didn't let go of such a good opportunity, and listened carefully. Unknowingly, he was fascinated by what he heard, and even began to verify it in his mind. Gradually, his understanding of the infinite path gradually became clearer. Deepen, continue to deepen, and then grow more smoothly and break the bottleneck, done in one go. Wow! Before the end of the Yongye divine monk sermon, Duan Lingtian finally took the next step and successfully understood the infinite path to the 9th level, becoming a 9th level master who has mastered 2 9th level ways. Such existences are also recognized as half-step Herdao and quasi-Herdao. Because, for such a being, as long as he takes one more step forward and the 2 kinds of 9-level Dao merge into one, he will officially enter the united Dao realm. Congratulations, little friend. When Duan Lingtian successfully attracted everyone's attention, before anyone else could react, Yongye divine monk was the first to speak, congratulating Duan Lingtian. At this time, everyone else came to their senses and congratulated Duan Lingtian. Even the representatives from the Kuhai temple who had been at loggerheads with Duan Lingtian before, all of them congratulated him in a friendly manner, as if they wanted to mend their relationship with Duan Lingtian, including the bald man, and old age. Now that they all realize that Duan Lingtian is not easy to mess with, they will naturally not be stupid enough to offend him. Such a being, even if we cannot be friends, we must not be enemies. In this way, Duan Lingtian successfully took a crucial step. The Infinite Way entered the 9th level, getting closer and closer to the Hadao realm. Next, he did not return to Jianglan Divine Kingdom with Jiang Haishan and others, but planned to stay for a while. It was said that he wanted to communicate with the Yongye Divine Monk, but in fact, he wanted to use the Kuhai Temple to the piece of Hadao monument left behind. Take a look and observe. This was also the condition he proposed to Monk Yu Hao. The price is that he cannot participate in the next Dao duel between Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple. With him helping the Jianglan Kingdom, the Kuhai Temple felt that it was invincible and unmatched. They might lose the Hadao monument they were currently promoted to in 1,000 years. Duan Lingtian originally thought that if he listened to the sermons of the Yongye Divine Monk and his Infinite Way did not break through, he would put forward the conditions for the Yongye Divine Monk to continue to preach to him and help his Infinite Way to enter the 9th level. Now, since a breakthrough has been made, it is natural to change the conditions. Next, Duan Lingtian stayed in the main temple of Kuhai Temple and became a distinguished guest of Kuhai Temple. Jiang Haishan, Hong Dongchuan, and other 4 people returned to Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Dongchuan, do you think that after 1,000 years, Brother Lingtian will still be in the Taoist realm? On the way back, Jiang Haishan couldn't help but ask Hong Dongchuan. It's hard to say. Hong Dongchuan shook his head at first. After all, there are many people who have reached this stage, let alone thousands of years. Even if they spend thousands or tens of thousands of years, they have not been able to enter the Hadao. But, Hong Dongchuan continued, those people may not be able to compare with Brother Lingtian in terms of talent and understanding. I have confidence in him, and I think he will enter the Hadao realm within 1,000 years. Jiang Haishan sighed, if this is the case, he won't be able to help us in the Dao duel 1,000 years later. It seems that I have to prepare for a rainy day. It doesn't matter if you lose after 1,000 years. It's like giving back the Hadao monument. If you lose 2 games in a row, you will lose all your foundation. Jiang Haishan's idea was actually shared by Divine Monk Yu Hao. Even when Duan Lingtian's infinite path took a step further, Divine Monk Yu Hao was doubting. Duan Lingtian was confident that he would reach the Hadao realm within 1,000 years, so he readily agreed to his request. However, even if he had such doubts, he would not be able to take back what he said. After all, Duan Lingtian was now worthy of the Kuhai Temple's initiative to befriend him. He did not see that the number 1 person in the Kuhai Temple, the Yongye Divine Monk, regarded him as a forever friend. Duan Lingtian stayed in Kuhai Temple for 3 full years before leaving. When leaving, the Yongye Divine Monk saw him off personally. Brother, stop it. I will come back to meet you again when I have time in the future. Duan Lingtian said hello and then withdrew. After leaving the Kuhai Temple and returning to the Jianglan Divine Kingdom, he first went back to Duan Mansion and stayed with his family for a month before heading to the capital to meet the royal family and prepare to inspect one of the 2 Hadao monuments in the hands of the royal family. 1. Here, he also met the Hadao realm ancestor from the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, who was also quite polite to him and even gave him a sermon in private. However, because the other party's method is not what he is good at, there is not much improvement. Little friend Lingtian, please choose one of these 2 Hadao stele. The ancestor of the Hadao realm of Jianglan Divine Kingdom said, letting Duan Lingtian choose. This can be regarded as taking care of Duan Lingtian. You must know that in the past, Jiang Haishan didn't promise to give him the right to choose the Hadao monument. After all, Jiang Haishan couldn't make the decision yet. That's it. There are 2 Hadao tablets. The combined Dao has nothing to do with the Way of Sword and the Infinite Way. Duan Lingtian chose one of the Hadao tablets that contains the Way of Control. Time flies. 20 years passed in the blink of an eye. Boom. On this day, a loud noise that seemed to shake the earth spread in the sky of the royal family in the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Then all kinds of amazing visions appeared. Not only everyone in Jianglan Divine Kingdom saw it, but even the nearby people saw it. Everyone can see it clearly. In the direction of the Bitter Sea Temple, the Yongye divine monk walked out, looked at the astonishing vision in the direction of Jianglan divine kingdom, and murmured to himself, "A new Hedao has been born. Could it be my little friend Ling Tian?" Chapter 4684. He broke through so quickly. Jiang Haishan, the 9th-level member of the royal family of Jianglan divine kingdom, was standing with a middle-aged man with a strong build and a face as beautiful as jade, looking at the center of the vision of heaven and earth. The storm shook with great force and bursts of strange sounds. Echoing in the void, it seems to be telling some mystery. And this scene is not unfamiliar to Jiang Haishan. The people around him had experienced this scene in the past. This is the vision of heaven and earth caused by stepping into Hedao. In the world of gods and earth, the only ones who can cause strange phenomena in the world are those who are strong in Hedao. It is different from the creation chart world where visions of heaven and earth can be seen everywhere, because the rules of the latter are set by the owner of the creation chart. Whatever visions you want it to have, there will be any visions. In the world of divine soil, not only is the space solid and indestructible, even a powerful person who has entered the Tao can hardly tear the space apart, and the visions of heaven and earth are not something you can see even if you want to see them. I didn't expect that his talent and understanding would be so evil. The middle-aged man on the side couldn't help but sigh. He is the Hedao strongman of Jianglan divine kingdom, named Jiang Tianjing, and he is also the highest-ranking person in the royal family of Jianglan divine kingdom. Even Jiang Haishan respects him as ancestor. The center of the storm of the heaven and earth vision. Before the vision appeared, the buildings in this area had been destroyed and turned into ruins. A figure sitting cross-legged in the void is looming in the vision of heaven and earth. Astonishingly, he was a young man wearing purple clothes, with a handsome face and an extraordinary temperament. All he could see was his sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. Even if he closed his eyes to rest, he still gave people an invisible oppression, making people dare not look directly at him. At this moment, the entire royal family was alarmed. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud noise from the sky, as if it was earth-shattering, and then thousands of strange phenomena gathered together, turning into a giant sword in the sky, standing upright on the sky, surrounded by countless small swords, and the number of small swords continued to increase. Even the strange phenomena of heaven and earth that spread around this place were all turned into small swords at this time. Countless small swords in the sky and the earth condensed and formed, surrounding the giant sword in the sky like stars over the moon. Even as the terrifying aura on the giant sword in the sky became more and more powerful, the number of small swords continued to increase, not only quickly covering the entire Jianglan divine kingdom, but also the surrounding areas of Jianglan divine kingdom, and even the bitter sea god. The small half area of the temple was filled with small swords scattered in the air. This is also someone who broke through and entered Hedao. Looking at the vision of heaven and earth at this time, he is combining the way of sword and the way of infinity. Infinite Kendo. Although there are only dozens of powerful Hedao people in the divine land world, and there are only 3 people in Jianglan divine kingdom and nearby areas, at this time, many powerful Taoists guessed that there is something new through the vision of heaven and earth in front of them. A strong man in the Hedao realm birth. Even, it can be seen which 2 kinds of Dao are combined to achieve the harmonious state of Dao. Even in the Duan mansion in Chuzhou City, a group of people were attracted by the vision on the horizon, especially Yu Xiao and Zhao Ani, who guessed that this was the birth of the Hedao realm. The Elephant Queen also gasped in unison. Angry, with a look of shock on his face, there was a bit of expectation deep in his eyes. The Hedao realm was a realm they had never heard of in the past 10,000 realms and the land outside the realm. Although they have now entered the 7th level of the Dao, and seem to be not far from the Hedao realm, they are not confident that they can take that step and enter the Hedao realm before their lifespans come to an end. I don't know who the saint is, but he has actually stepped into the realm of harmony. Zhao Ani sighed. Neither he nor Yu Xiao connected the vision of heaven and earth in front of them with Duan Lingtian. After all, in their eyes, Duan Lingtian is now just the 8th level of Taoism. The 2 of them did not even know about Duan Lingtian before. Breaking through to the 9th level of the Dao. Although Duan Lingtian came back 20 years ago, he did not mention this matter to them. However, several of his wives knew that he had broken through to the 9th level. Now, after seeing the vision of heaven and earth in front of them and learning that this was the birth of a powerful Hadao in the Jianglan Divine Kingdom, the four girls Kia, Huana, Li Fei, and Feng Tianwu all thought of it in unison. Their husband, Duan Lingtian, is it Brother Tian? Definitely. Jianglan Divine Kingdom has not seen a second Hadao strongman for many years. The person who breaks through now will most likely be Brother Tian. 20 years ago, when Brother Tian left, he said he would attack the Hadao realm. That should be right. During the conversation between the four women, there was a hint of excitement in their tone. After all, that is the Hadao realm. After coming to the Divine Land world for a while, they have realized what kind of cultivation realm the Hadao realm is. It is the cultivation realm that stands at the pinnacle of the Divine Earth world. Looking at the entire Divine Earth world, with this cultivation for whom, only a few dozen people. Everyone is a giant in the world of gods and earth. For example, the Hadao level member of the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom is a giant on the side of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. With him, Jianglan Divine Kingdom can continue to be passed on, unless he offends many Hadao level people and is killed together. Otherwise, even if it is other combinations in the Dao realm, as long as they are not sure of killing him at once, they will not dare to attack the Jianglan Kingdom easily. Whoosh! In the main temple of Kuhai Temple, Yongye Divine Monk came out of the air and headed straight to Jianglan Divine Kingdom, preparing to congratulate the strong man who had just broken through to the Hadao realm. In addition, I also want to confirm whether it is Duan Lingtian. Although he guessed it was Duan Lingtian, he didn't dare to be 100% sure until he saw the other party to confirm it thoroughly. In addition to the Eternal Night Divine Monk, in the sea area adjacent to the eastern border of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, on a huge island that looks like a paradise, there is also a person who flies through the air and enters Jianglan Divine Kingdom, heading straight to the vision of heaven and earth. Go away with your heart. I really didn't expect that Jianglan Divine Kingdom would produce another strong man in the Hadao realm. Is it that Jiang Haishan? With his talent, it is logically difficult for him to enter the Hadao realm. Well, just go and take a look and you'll find out. This person is the patron saint of the Qionghai Divine Island behind the eastern sea area of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and he is also the only Hadao realm powerhouse in Qionghai Divine Island. This. In the royal family of the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Hong Dongchuan had also rushed here. After confirming from the Jianghai Pass that it was Duan Lingtian who broke through, he was also shocked. He never expected that young man so quickly stepped into Hadao territory. How long has it been? The last time he sparred with the other party was only at the 8th level of Hadao realm. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that it was less than 30 years ago, right? Congratulations to fellow Daoist Duan. When he saw Duan Lingtian open his eyes, the Hadao realm expert from the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom reacted immediately and congratulated him continuously. Please move your fingers and share this website to Facebook so that we can continue to operate. Chapter 4685. Duan Lingtian opened his eyes, and his eyes were filled with light, as bright as the scorching sun on the horizon, making people afraid to look directly at him. Faced with the congratulations of Jiang Tianjing, a strong man in the Hadao realm of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Duan Lingtian came to his senses immediately, smiled and nodded at the other party, and said with a friendly smile, "Senior, please protect me." Just now, he was in the process of breaking through the stability. Although he had the power to protect himself, his spiritual consciousness could not detect that Jiang Tianjing was protecting him. It's just a small thing. Jiang Tianjing shook his head and said with a smile, "Since you have now entered the Hadao realm, you don't need to call me senior. Just talk about being friends with me. If you think highly of me, just call me Brother Jiang." Haha. Okay, Brother Jiang. Duan Lingtian smiled cheerfully, with great pride. After breaking through to the Hadao, he only felt that the way he looked at the world in front of him was different, except for the normal scenery he could see in the past. And you can still see the looming horizon, like the rainbow dragon's infinite sword. That's the way he fits. This road belongs to an old road, which is covered with devastation, but it contains a heart-stopping ancient atmosphere of vicissitudes of life, as if it is a mystery from ancient times, mysterious and unpredictable. The path of harmony is to step on the path of harmony, fighting with others and fighting with heaven. If the Tao is too bad, it will be like hanging in the air with no place to stay. When fighting with others, you will naturally be at a disadvantage. If the path you follow is a path that no one has ever walked before, then it is a new path. The pioneers of the new way, when they first enter the Hadao realm, their strength is unmatched by those who are in the Hadao realm of the old way, because the Tao is new and will help them even more. On this point, before Duan Lingtian made his breakthrough, he had heard it said by the Hadao realm eternal knight divine monk from Kuhai Temple. To put it simply, the road is not broken yet and we can move forward smoothly. The old road is generally a bad road. It has been trampled over and over by people who have followed this road in various eras. Basically, every time a move is made, the road will be more consumed and devastated. When a strong Hadao man takes action, his greatest reliance is the power of Hadao, and this power of Hadao comes from the combined Tao. The strength in the body of a strong Taoist has not changed at all compared to the 9th level of the Tao. Breakthrough is no longer like the past, it is a qualitative change of the power in the body. This time, the power has not undergone a qualitative change, not even a change. There is only one thing that has changed. That is, the Tao that I have performed in the past has been substantial. Transformed, I can take advantage of the more powerful it is given after its substantialization. With the power, take action against the enemy. The soul level has changed qualitatively. After joining the Tao, only the soul is improved, and the power in the body is still the power of entering the 9th level of the Tao. In fact, if you don't use the power of Hadao and only use the remaining 10,000 ways that have not yet been combined, you can't even defeat the normal 9th level of Tao. Of course, it is impossible for a strong Hadao man to take action without using the power of Hadao. If the Tao is borrowed too much from others, it is the same as the road being blocked by others. The strength that can be borrowed is not too strong. This is also the reason why the old way is not as good as the new way. However, it is not an easy task to join the new way. Otherwise, no one would choose to take shortcuts. For example, if the new owner or the old owner of the creation life chart wants to rely on the captive creatures in the creation life chart, the way of life sacrifice is a shortcut. The way of sacrifice is one of the most special ways among all the ways. It is impossible for ordinary people to come into contact with it, let alone understand and master it. Only the owner of the creation chart can understand it. This kind of Tao, no matter what kind of Tao it is combined with, the Tao that is born is a new Tao. In addition to this, the 3 paths merge into one, which is basically the new path. Because, without exception, the strong people who can embark on the integration of 3 paths are all talented people in the world of gods and earth. Their talents and understanding are astonishing. Even when 2 paths are combined, they can only follow the old path. When they take the 3rd path, when it comes to Tao, it is inevitable he will also choose a way that can combine with the original 2 to form a new way. In the world of gods and earth, any strong person who combines 3 ways will be remembered in history. It is no secret which 3 ways they use to combine the 3 ways. Infinite Sword Tao, in the past history of the divine earth world, many people have practiced it. Even now, according to what the Yongya divine monk said in the past, among the dozens of powerful Hadao masters in the contemporary divine earth world, there is still one who has practiced it. Also Infinite Kendo. After laughing, Duan Lingtian sighed secretly at the thought. Congratulations, Your Majesty, I have met Your Majesty. At this time, Jiang Haishan and Hong Dongchuan on the side bowed to Duan Lingtian, their voices full of awe. In the world of gods and earth, once you step into the Hadao realm, you are truly the most powerful person. A strong Hadao man, placed anywhere in the world of gods and earth, can be a king and hegemon. At this level, he can travel anywhere in the world of gods and earth, even if he encounters a Hadao who is stronger than himself. Even if he is defeated, he can escape. If Hadao wants to kill Hadao, he will not be able to escape unless the strength gap is huge or he finds an ingenious opportunity. Yes, otherwise it would be difficult to achieve. People in the world of gods and earth, when they meet a powerful person in the Hadao realm, they all respectfully call them venerable. Once you step into the Hadao realm, you can be called the honor of the divine land world. No matter how casual Hong Dongchuan was in front of Duan Lingtian in the past, he was not Duan Lingtian's best friend all the way. The moment Duan Lingtian entered the Hadao realm, he realized from the bottom of his heart that he and his opponent the gap between parties. Unless he can step into Hadao in his lifetime, he will never be able to look at Duan Lingtian with the same eyes he used to look at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian also knew this, so he didn't say much, smiled and nodded to the two of them, and continued to meditate. Seeing this, the two of them didn't dare to disturb them. Even Jiang Tianjing continued to stand aside with a smile, looking very patient. Jiang Tianjing. Not long after, a voice came from the eastern sky. It was not loud, but it was extremely concentrated. Only Jiang Tianjing and Duan Lingtian beside him could hear it. Hearing this voice, Duan Lingtian came back to his senses and looked to the east above the clouds in the sky. His spiritual consciousness swept out, and he could feel that the spiritual consciousness that was not weaker than his was sweeping and colliding, which made him feel a tremble in his heart. Another Hadao strongman. Moreover, it is certain that he is not the eternal night monk from the Kuhai temple. Soon, a figure came from the east sky and appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. But it was a young man wearing a green robe, handsome in appearance, holding a folding fan in his hand, looking like a handsome young man. Zhu Qingchuan. Jiang Tianjing stared at the other party with lightning-like eyes, smiled calmly and said, "I didn't expect that even a lazy person like you would come to our Jianglan Divine Kingdom to join in the fun." Chapter 4686. Zhu Qingchuan. Although this is the first time Duan Lingtian has met this person, it is not the first time he has heard of him. Whether it was the Yongye Divine Monk, a powerful Hadao realm expert from Kuhai Temple, or Jiang Tianjing, a Hadao realm powerhouse from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, they all told him about this person. This person is the first person on the Qionghai Divine Island east of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and he is also a strong man in the Hadao realm. In the area surrounding Jianglan Divine Kingdom, there are only 3 powerful people in the Hadao realm, so the 3 of them usually stay close to each other, and they often take the time to visit and discuss the Dao. Haha. Lao Jiang, your Jianglan Divine Kingdom is so awesome, yet another Hadao realm person has appeared. Zhu Qingshan laughed, and his eyes quickly fell on Duan Lingtian. He still has a strange face. However, it's not what I expected, because I thought it was unlikely to be Jiang Haishan before. Jiang Haishan is still far away from Hadao. On hearing this, Jiang Haishan on the side smiled bitterly, but did not dare to say anything more. Speaking of which, Zhu Qingshan was still a figure of his generation. Whether compared with his ancestor Jiang Tianjing or the Yongye Divine Monk from the Bitter Sea Temple, he was much younger. When he was young, he was overwhelmed by the opponent. At first, he wanted to chase the opponent, but after chasing him, he couldn't even see the opponent's back. Nowadays, the other party is as famous as their ancestors of the royal family of Jianglan Kingdom. This person, in fact, cannot be completely regarded as a monk from our Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Jiang Tianjing smiled and said, "He can only be considered as half of Jianglan Divine Kingdom at best. It is also our Jianglan Divine Kingdom's good luck that he happened to come to us." Oh! After hearing Jiang Tianzheng's words, Zhu Qingshan looked at Duan Lingtian with surprise. "Listen to what you said. Could this newly promoted fellow Taoist come from the world in the creation chart? A few years ago, the new owner of the creation life chart was discovered and seriously injured, and even the creation life chart was severely damaged. He knew this. Of course, the incident did not happen near Qionghai Island, so he was not involved. Otherwise, those who are targeting the new owner of the creation chart will inevitably invite him to participate in the extermination of evil. Yes, this brother Duan Lingtian comes from the world in the creation chart." Jiang Tianjing nodded. Zhu Qingshan's eyes lit up, and he raised his hands to Duan Lingtian. "Fellow Daoist Duan, Zhu Qingshan is being polite." "Fellow Daoist Zhu." Duan Lingtian returned the greeting, and then started chatting with the other party when the other party intentionally spoke to him. Knowing that Duan Lingtian still had relatives and friends living abroad, Zhu Qingshan repeatedly promised that he would have people spread the news about Duan Lingtian widely within the Qionghai Divine Island, so that Duan Lingtian's relatives and friends who may exist on the Qionghai Divine Island can be found in the first place. Time returns to Duan Lingtian. He would help send someone to bring them back. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he immediately thanked him repeatedly. Although Qionghai Divine Island is located in the eastern area of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, due to the harsh environment of the surrounding sea areas, it is dangerous to cross the sea alone in ordinary ways. As a result, there is not much communication with the outside world, and most people live in a paradise state. Because of this, although Duan Lingtian has long been famous in Jianglan Divine Kingdom and surrounding areas, Zhu Qingshan, who is on Qionghai Divine Island, has never heard of him. Otherwise, if someone here breaks through to the Hedao realm this time, he will definitely be able to pass. Duan Lingtian is good at 10,000 ways, and he guessed it on Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, Zhu Qingshan, and Jiang Tianjing gathered together to chat, while Jiang Haishan and Hong Dongchuan stood aside silently and respectfully. Congratulations to fellow Daoist Duan. Soon, the travel-worn Yongye divine monk also arrived. Although he had guessed that more than 90% of the people who broke through were Duan Lingtian before he came here, it was not until he saw Duan Lingtian with his own eyes that he finally confirmed it. Duan Lingtian made a breakthrough, and the Yongye divine monk's name for him changed from little friend to fellow Taoist. Fellow Daoist Duan, although it is a good thing that you have entered Hadao, I still want to remind you. The Yongye divine monk said with a solemn expression. Although there are only a few dozen people in the Hadao realm in the world of gods and earth, before you break through, there is still one person who is also the Hadao swordsman and the infinite way. In the Hadao realm, if they are combined with the same Dao, once they attack at the same time, they will not be able to fully utilize the power of Hadao. Because of this, it is difficult to become friends even if you don't become enemies when you combine the same two ways. As the Yongye divine monk finished speaking, Jiang Tianzheng's expression became solemn, not to mention the Yongye divine monk. I almost forgot about that person. At the same time, even Zhu Qingshan, who originally had a gentle smile on his face, could not help but tighten his face and his eyes became serious. Three of you, what are you? Duan Lingtian looked puzzled, wondering why the three of them were acting like this. Fellow Daoist Duan. Zhu Qingshan said in a deep voice, before you, there was another person in the world of gods and earth who also practiced the infinite swordsmanship. You must also know that if the contract is in the Hadao realm of the same Dao and exists in the same era at the same time, it would be fine if we don't take action at the same time. If we do it at the same time, it will affect the performance of the other party. If one of them fights to the death with others, and the other person robs part of the power of Hadao at the same time, the opponent's offensive will be weakened, and they may even be defeated or even kill. As Zhu Qingshan finished speaking, Duan Lingtian's brows also wrinkled. So, not only will he affect another person in the world of God and Earth who joins the infinite swordsmanship, but the other party will also affect him? Isn't this a natural enemy? If he is the only one, you don't need to be afraid of him, fellow Daoist Duan. But the problem is, that man's grandfather is still alive, and he is one of the only three strong men in the Hadao realm who can combine the three ways in the world of gods and earth. Jiang Tianzheng looked at Duan Lingtian and warned, brother, why don't you go out and hide? I'm worried that that person can't think of anything for a moment and brings his grandfather to deal with you. If he is alone, he may not be able to deal with you, but he can be added that grandfather. Even if you are lucky enough to escape, I'm afraid you won't feel well. Injured once, and targeted a second time, it might be the end of life or death. In the world of gods and earth, although strong people in the Hadao realm are rarely killed by others, it is not that no one is killed. As Jiang Tianjing finished speaking, Yongye divine monk also gave Duan Lingtian the same advice. Zhu Qingshan also advised him from the side, fellow Daoist Duan, you should hide and avoid the limelight. The meaning expressed by the three people was very obvious. There was no way to make enemies of those two people for Duan Lingtian. What they could do was to help Duan Lingtian prepare for a rainy day and let Duan Lingtian hide early so as not to be caught by the other party. Duan Lingtian was speechless for a while, but he couldn't help but feel a little angry in his heart. He thought that after entering the Hadao realm, he would stand at the pinnacle of the world of gods and earth and not be afraid of anyone. Who would have known that just after this breakthrough, he would learn that he might suffer an unexpected disaster? The Hadao realm of the three Daos. For a moment, Duan Lingshan's face became unsightly, but deep in his eyes, there was a cold and fierce light flashing. Chapter 4687. In the world of gods and earth, the most powerful ones are those who combine the three realms. Next, there are the newer combined Dao realm experts who combine two Dao and the harmonious Dao. Although Duan Lingtian has also entered the Hadao realm, the infinite sword way he has joined belongs to the old path that many people in the world of gods have walked. It is now dilapidated, so the power of Hadao that he can draw on is limited. In this case, there are still people who want to compete with him for the power of harmony. Not to mention that the other party would be unhappy, even he himself would be unhappy. Do you want to destroy me? I still want to kill you. However, after learning that the other party was not only a member of Hadao, but also a grandfather of Hezendao behind him, and might even lead his grandfather to attack him, Duan Lingshan's heart sank, and at the same time, he also felt a sense of conflict deep in his heart. Quantity of yearning. In the third path, he must merge into the infinite sword path. The way of control, integrating the three ways of infinite swordsmanship, and combining them, no one has ever taken this path in the history of the world of gods and earth. Now, his control has reached the 8th level, which is comparable to that of old man Wukong back then. As long as he steps further to the 9th level, he can embark on the path of combining the three ways. I hope he will be wiser and not mess with me. Otherwise, even if he has a grandfather who combines three ways, I will kill him. Duan Lingshan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He has never been a submissive person. Otherwise, he would not have achieved what he has today. Most of his cultivation and promotion path was accomplished by force. Taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian looked at Jiang Tianjing and asked about that person's situation. After learning that the man behind him was also an ancient family with a great business, Duan Lingtian felt relieved. In this way, he didn't worry about the other party being angry with his family and friends if they couldn't catch him. Jiang Tianjing and the other three also bluntly said that the other party has more wives and children than Duan Lingtian, and they are not in the Hadao realm without any worries. Moreover, if the competition between the Hadao realm involves the other party's relatives and friends, it will anger the rest of the world of gods and earth. A strong man in the Hadao realm who has a family and a sect. After all, no one wants a strong person in the same situation to break this bottom line. It couldn't be easier for a strong person in the Hadao realm to really go crazy and want to kill the family, friends, or even disciples of another strong person in the Hadao realm. Brother, if you are worried, bring your family and friends to the imperial city. Here, as long as I am here, I can take care of them. Jiang Tianjing said bluntly. Thank you very much, Brother Jiang. Duan Lingtian thanked him repeatedly. He also felt that this was safer, and even if he did not plan to hide, he would not continue to stay in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Because, the moment he stepped into the Hadao realm, he faintly felt the atmosphere of his former homeland. He knew that it should be the breath of the wounded creation life. This surprised him. Because, as far as he knew, the new owner of the creation life chart was the Tiandao of the former world and the land outside the world. He was a strong man in the Hadao realm. After being besieged, he narrowly escaped death and brought him to the world. Escaped with the damaged creation chart, there was no news from him until the day he was born, and his whereabouts have not been found to this day. But now, he can sense where the other person is. To be precise, it is the location of the creation chart. Is it possible that because I am a life born from the world created in the creation chart, I can sense the direction of home after I step into the Hadao realm? Duan Lingtian could only explain it in his mind like this. Apart from that, he really couldn't figure out why he could sense that aura after breaking through the Hadao. Therefore, after settling his family and friends, he planned to visit the hiding place of the new owner of the creation chart. Now, not many years have passed since the last time the other party was seriously injured. Even if the opponent was stronger than him in his heyday, his injuries may not have healed now. As long as he is still injured, he is not afraid of the opponent. Let's see if we can **** the creation life chart. Duan Lingtian is not very interested in the way of life sacrifice that can be understood after getting the creation life chart. He wants to get the creation life chart because he wants to see if his former hometown of Wanjie, the land outside the world, can still exists. The last time, the new owner of the creation life pan was besieged. He was in the world and saw the world collapse with his own eyes, and he was also thrown out of that world. In addition, while being thrown out, he also saw the Tower of Babel shattered. It seems that all the gods who were in the Tower of Babel at that time had been eliminated by the new owner of the creation life chart. In other words, it has become the other party's food and nourishment. I hope that the world of the 10,000 realms and the land beyond the boundary will still be there. Although the world of the divine land is good, it is still not as good as the homeland. Even if Duan Lingtian has reached this point, he still cannot forget his homeland. If he has the chance, he still wants to go back to your hometown to live, practice, spend time with your family, and be quiet, sit quietly and watch the clouds roll and relax. In the past, he had thought that if he could step into the Hadao realm, he would see if there was a chance to obtain the creation life chart, reopen his homeland, and let his family and friends, as well as those who wanted to return to the original world and the land outside the world, creatures, all one get up and go back. Of course, he didn't tell the three great unions in front of him about being able to sense the breath of the creation life chart. Once you say it, it will definitely cause trouble. The existence of the creation chart is too sensitive for Hadao in the world of gods and earth. He could even foresee that if he could really obtain the creation chart, once the news spreads, even if he did not practice the way of life sacrifice, those in the world of gods and earth would not be able to let him go. To be precise, it is impossible to let go of the creation chart. Fellow Daoist Yongye, fellow Daoist Jew, then I will go pick up my family and friends first. We will get together again when we have the opportunity. After saying hello to the Yongye divine monk and Ju Qingshan, Duan Lingshan's figure disappeared in a flash. At the same time, on the infinite sword path on the horizon, an undercurrent surged, sweeping all the way towards Chuju. After entering the Hadao realm, Duan Lingtian used the power of Hadao to return to the sky above Duan Mansion in Chuju City within a short time. Is that person also borrowing power? When he was approaching Chuju City, Duan Lingtian could feel that the power of infinite sword Dao was being borrowed by someone else. It was not difficult to guess that it was the one who had mastered it just like him. Those who practice unlimited swordsmanship are also borrowing the skills of unlimited swordsmanship. The power of harmony, in a place extremely far away from Jianglan Divine Kingdom. In an ancient city that is located deep in the mountains and looks like a giant beast, a figure stands in the sky. The looming sword light roars around it. It is very sharp. The terrifying sword intent sweeps across all directions, making people afraid to approach. This is a young man wearing a green robe. He has a resolute face and a superb temperament, but his brows are furrowed together at this moment. There are actually people who have entered the Hadao realm with unlimited swordsmanship. Although there were strange phenomena when he entered the Hadao realm, when Duan Lingtian broke through, the strange phenomena also swept across the area near Jianglan Divine Kingdom. This place was far away and could not be seen. In addition, the news has not reached here yet, so this person only guessed that someone had joined the Infinite Way and Kendo and entered the Hadao realm by discovering that others were also borrowing the power of the Infinite Kendo. This is undoubtedly a huge bad thing for him. Who is it? The green-robed young man's face was gloomy, with murderous intent in his eyes, looking at the world of the eyes and earth. Among those who are hopeful of joining the Dao realm, who doesn't know that I am joining the Dao of infinite swordsmanship? How dare you combine the Infinite Way and the Sword Way to enter the Combined Way realm? You think him easy to bully? Chapter 4688. The world of Divine Land is so big and vast that even a strong person in the Hadao realm can travel at full speed and circle around the world of Divine Earth. Even without considering the obstacles that may be encountered on the way, it will not take more than a few months. There is no way to finish the walk. You know, even Duan Lingtian, a newly promoted Hadao, only took less than a quarter of an hour to return from Jiangju, where the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom is, to Chuju City, where Duan Mansion is located. It can be seen that the Hadao realm is strong. Speed so fast and outrageous. To the north of the Jianglan Divine Kingdom is the Endless Sword Territory, and to the east and south are the boundless seas. After the eastern sea is the Qionghai Divine Island, and there is land a long way after the southern sea area. The land there is far away from the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. It is better than walking 10 times around the 4 borders of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Even if Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Endless Sword Domain, Qionghai Divine Island and Bitter Sea Temple located to the west of Jianglan Divine Kingdom are put together, they are actually just a corner in the world of Divine Land. Although there used to be 3 major headouts here, and there were only a few dozen headouts in the world of gods and earth. However, the reason why the 3 major headouts gathered here is because this area is suitable for human survival, and they all like to be here. Biananjia, even if it is an outsider coming from some dangerous place outside, staying here for a while, also unwilling to leave. In the world of the gods, there are shocking crises lurking in many places. Of course, after a crisis, there are often some chance encounters. Practitioners who emerge from desperate situations and understand a certain Tao that they have never come into contact with before are everywhere in the world of gods and earth. The Wanshan Chen family is a family that has been passed down for countless years in the Wanshan domain of the Divine Land world. In the contemporary world of the Divine Earth, it is one of the top forces, just because Wanshan Chen's Shuanghe Dao, one of them, He Dao, is one of the only few strong men in the world of God and Earth who can combine the 3 Dao. Grandfather, there is someone who follows the path of infinity and swordsmanship. He wants to steal my power of He Dao. I want to kill him. The young man wearing a green robe is also one of the 2 contemporary He Dao masters of the Wanshan Chen family. One of them, Chen Mingho, took the initiative to find his grandfather, another He Dao strongman of the Wanshan Chen family, a He Dao who was more powerful than him. The powerful master of the 3 paths. What? After hearing his grandson's words, Chen Zhouxiao, who looked like a middle-aged man, couldn't help but frown, looking at the entire world of gods and earth. Who doesn't know that your path of harmony is the path of infinity and kendo? Even if some people have deeper attainments in the first 2 paths, in order to avoid you when they attack the combined path, they will choose to comprehend another path and combine with the infinite path or the sword path. How dare you forcefully merge the infinite way and the sword way into the combined way? Are you trying to make enemies of our Wanshan Chen family? When the words fell, Chen Zhuxiao's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and his face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost in an instant. Even if you don't fear his grandson, you should still worry about him, right? Even if you don't give him face as a grandson, you dare to ignore him? Do you know who it is? Chen Zhouxiao asked in a deep voice. Chen Mingho shook his head. We don't know yet. It will probably take some time before we know who he is. Good. Chen Zhouxiao nodded, a cold light raging in his eyes. When I know who he is, if I have a chance, I will take action. If you and I join forces, even if we can't save him the first time, we will definitely be able to save half of his life. As long as we can find him again within a short period of time, he will definitely die. Chen Zhouxiao is still very confident about his own strength. After receiving his grandfather's approval, Chen Mingho's expression relaxed a lot, and at the same time he changed the topic and asked, Grandpa, is there any news recently about the new owner of the creation chart, Yu Luohe? No. Chen Zhouxiao shook his head and sighed. That guy cherishes his life very much. Not only did he use the life-saving means that we had prepared long ago when we surrounded him last time, but he even took away the creation life chart. Got it. As soon as he left, I knew it wouldn't be that easy to catch him again. Now it seems that it is indeed the case. After hearing this, Chen Mingho also sighed. It would be great if we could find him in private and steal the creation chart. If only our grandfather and grandson could find him in the present on the basis of the Tao, combined with the Tao of living sacrifice, the world of gods and earth will be restored. Who is the opponent of our grandfather and grandson? As he spoke, Chen Mingho couldn't help but reveal a bit of greed in his eyes. It's easier said than done. Chen Zhouxiao shook his head. Although everyone shouts about the way of living sacrifice, in fact, how many of those guys don't want to take that way? It's just that they don't want anyone to take that way, so we all choose to intercept that one. The right way. After all, the way of living sacrifice is not only a rare way among all the ways, but also a way that no one has practiced in the world of gods and earth. This kind of Tao, once the combination is successful, the power of the combination it promotes can be imagined. In the world of gods and earth, how many people have reached the level of cultivation that is the Hadao realm and do not ignore the common people? Do you really think that everyone is compassionate and compassionate? Isn't it because everyone is rushing to attack the owner of the creation chart because they are worried that others will use the creation chart to get ahead of them? Not only was he involved in the siege and killing of the new owner of the creation life chart, but he was also involved in the past action of besieging and killing the old owner of the creation life chart. However, at that time, he had not yet joined the third path, and was only in the world of gods and earth. One of the Chang He Dao. To kill the old master of the creation life chart, he relied entirely on a few other strong men who combined the three paths. It's a good thing you didn't mention this. You suddenly mentioned this, and I remembered something. Chen Juxiao's eyes flashed. Back then, before the old owner of the creation life pan was besieged and killed, we heard each other mention it. In the creation world, there are also beings with the same strength as the 9th level of the Tao. But they all became him. The nourishment not only helped him to enter the 9th level of the way of life sacrifice, but was even about to successfully merge with the way. That time, there was no life left in the world of creation and horoscope. But this time, the creation life chart was damaged, and many creatures from the creation life chart world fled to the divine land world. Among them, there are probably some who are comparable to the 9th level of the Tao. The new Hadao who joins the infinite kendo you are talking about doesn't come from the world of the creation life plan, right? After coming to the world of gods and earth, he successfully merged with the Tao. If that's the case, he doesn't know that you are combining the infinite way and sword Tao, and he doesn't know that combining infinite sword Tao will offend you and offend our Wanshan Chen family, so it's normal. Hearing this, Chen Mingho also felt that this was possible, but his murderous intent remained unabated. Regardless of whether he knows my existence or not, he must die. If he doesn't die, someone will always be able to steal the power of unlimited swordsmanship from me. Chapter 4689. The Wanshan Chen sect is the absolute dominant force in the Wanshan domain, and is even one of the top forces in the entire Divine Land world. With such a force, the intelligence department under their control is naturally not mediocre. About half a month later, the intelligence department of the Wanshan Chen family found out that a new Hadao had appeared in the distant Jianglan kingdom. Calculating the time, it should be one of their ancestors of the Wanshan Chen family who was keen on the new one. I asked about a strong man in the Hadao realm who joins the infinite swordsmanship. Jianglan Divine Kingdom? Reverse Divine Sword, Duan Lingtian? From the creation chart world? When the two Hadao members of the Wanshan Chen family, Chen Jiuxiao and Chen Mingho, learned about the information about the new Hadao, they got together again. Grandpa, it seems that as you guessed, the newly promoted Hadao really comes from the world of creation and destiny. Chen Mingho spoke in a deep voice, with murderous intent deep in his eyes. It's actually not hard to guess. Chen Jiuxiao said calmly, if you don't say anything else, I will just tell you that I am walking the same path as you. Not many Taoist monks in the world of gods and earth would dare to do this kind of thing. After all, that would offend our Wanshan Chen family. Only visitors from another world from the world of creation and natal charts would embark on this path without knowing it, and even when newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. However, whether he did it intentionally or not, since it has affected you, naturally you can't keep him. I will go with you to the Jianglan Divine Kingdom and try to kill him. Even if I can't kill him, I will seriously injure him. In this way, as long as he can be found out in a short time, he can be killed. Hearing Chen Juxiao's words, Chen Mingho's eyes lit up and a cruel smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Visitors from another world? Duan Lingtian from the inverse god realm? If you want to blame it, just blame it on you for accidentally embarking on the same path as me. Otherwise, there will definitely be a place for you in this world of gods and earth. It's a pity that you have offended me and our Wanshan Chen family. Even if you step into the Hadao realm, you are bound to die. Soon. Chen Jiuxiao and Chen Mingho left the Wanshan Chen family, left the Wanshan domain, and went directly to Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Wanshan domain was some distance away from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, but at their speed, They arrived at Jianglan Divine Kingdom in just a few days, and went to the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom as soon as possible. Because of the news they received, although Duan Lingshan's Duan Mansion used to be in Chuzhou City, after he was promoted to the Hadao realm, it was moved to the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Duan Lingtian. In the sky above Duan Mansion in the capital, Chen Mingho stood alone in the sky, overlooking the ground below. The sound was transmitted, not only throughout the Duan Mansion, but even spread throughout the entire capital. I am Chen Mingho, member of the Wanshan Chen family. I'm here this time to invite you to a battle to determine the future ownership of infinite swordsmanship. As Chen Mingho finished speaking, the Duan Mansion was shaken up and down. A strong man from the Hadao realm comes to your door. Before that, everyone in the Duan family also knew that Duan Lingtian had been promoted to Hadao and became one of the only dozens of Hadao realm experts in the world of gods and earth. Everyone was surprised by this, because in this way, they would be in this divine land. Earth world you can also survive in a better and superior way. Unexpectedly, less than a month after moving here, another Hadao realm strongman came to the door and invited Duan Lingtian to fight with him. Hong Mansion. Hearing the sound, Hong Dongquan's expression changed slightly. It's Chen Mingho. He's here so soon. Although Hong Dongquan has only entered the 8th level of the Dao, as an aboriginal of the divine land world, at his level, he is also very familiar with the strong ones in the Hadao realm. Chen Mingho is the Hadao realm achieved by combining the Infinite Way and the Sword Way into one. After knowing that Duan Lingtian also entered the Hadao realm with these two methods, he also felt that Duan Lingtian would offend Chen Mingho, and Chen Mingho might even come to trouble Duan Lingtian. But he didn't expect it to come so soon. Royal Compound. Jiang Haishan frowned. As the patron saint of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Jiang Tianjing and Duan Lingtian stepped into Hadao realm, the only Hadao realm in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. At this time, they also walked out of the royal courtyard. In the blink of an eye, Feng Shu Yufeng arrived near Chen Mingho. Confront it and stand. Jiang Tianjing. The strong men in the Hadao realm who were both in the world of gods and earth naturally knew each other. Chen Mingho nodded to Jiang Tianjing and said hello. I am here for you Jianglan, the newly promoted Hadao Duan Lingtianer of the Kingdom of God. Come on, it has nothing to do with you. Although he might not be Jiang Tianzheng's opponent if they really wanted to fight, it would not be easy for Jiang Tianjing to defeat him. Moreover, there is a strong man from the 3 ways beside him hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity. Fellow Daoist Chen, I have no intention of interfering in the matter between you and Duan Lingtian. Jiang Tianjing shook his head and smiled. I came here to tell you that Duan Lingtian is no longer in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. He left Jianglan Divine Kingdom with several of his close relatives more than half a month ago. Are you afraid that it's too late? Hearing this, Chen Mingho frowned and his expression sank. At the same time, the tyrannical consciousness swept out and enveloped the entire Duan Mansion, and indeed no trace of Duan Lingtian was found. For a moment, his face turned ugly. At the same time, he looked at Jiang Tianjing with an unkind look and said in a deep voice, Jiang Tianjing, before Lingtian stepped into the Hadao realm, he might not have known that there was me in the world of gods and earth, who was also Hadao of the Infinite Sword. It was you who told him of. His departure was also because of your reminder. Facing Chen Mingho's almost interrogative inquiry, Jiang Tianzheng's brows instantly furrowed. Although he did not want to provoke Chen Mingho and had no intention of becoming an enemy of the Wanshan Chen family behind Chen Mingho, it did not mean that he was afraid of Chen Mingho. Both are Hadao, and because Hadao is newer, he is stronger than Chen Mingho. If he hadn't been afraid that there was a strong man behind Hadao, Chen Mingho would have made a strong move long ago based on Chen Mingho's current attitude. Already. Now, although he would not take action, he still said in a cold tone, Chen Mingho, it's best not to talk nonsense without evidence. In the world of gods and earth, we know that you, Chen Mingho, are in the Infinite Sword Dao. Do you think you are the only one in the He Dao realm? In the world of gods and earth, among all the beings above the 7th level of the Dao, except for those who have no information, who doesn't know that you, Chen Mingho, are practicing the Infinite Sword Dao? Chen Mingho was about to speak, but someone spoke before him. Fellow Daoist Jiang, it was my grandson who took the liberty. How about I apologize to you on his behalf? Accompanied by a powerful voice, it was Chen Zhouxiao who had been hiding in the dark just now, confirming that Duan Lingtian was not outside the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and he no longer needed to hide. Jiang Tianzheng's brows moved slightly. As expected, this old ***** is here too. Chapter 4690. I've met Senior Chen. Although he secretly scolded the other party for being insidious and being in the three-way Hadao realm, he was still hiding in the dark waiting for an opportunity to attack, but on the surface Jiang Tianjing greeted the other party with a friendly face. I said that fellow Daoist Chen has such a bad temper. I bet it was Senior Chen who came here with him. As for apology, there is no need. Even though they were both in the Hadao realm, Jiang Tianjing was not a match for the Chen Zhouxiao in front of him, because he knew that the other party would not team up with Chen Mingho to attack him because of such a trivial matter. Moreover, with his strength, it is possible to return the whole body at the cost of minor injuries. However, once the two of them take action against him, they will fight him to the death, and they will really fight with their lives. At worst, the lives of the entire royal family of the Jianglan Divine Kingdom will be exchanged for the restlessness of the Chen family in Wanshan. Of course, he knew that the other party would not take action against him. After all, there was no interest dispute between him and the other party. A mere verbal conflict does not rise to the level of a life-and-death fight. This time, the two men came to see Duan Lingtian simply because Duan Lingtian embarked on the path of the infinite sword Dao and had a conflict of interest with Chen Mingho, so they wanted to deal with Duan Lingtian. For the strength of Chen Mingho and the strength of the Wanshan Chen family, it is normal for them to want to eradicate Duan Lingtian. It's a pity that the two of them came to nothing. Before that, he had warned Duan Lingtian with the person from the Bitter Sea Temple and the Qionghai Divine Island, so that Duan Lingtian had already left long ago. Duan Lingtian was even worried about the safety of his close relatives, and even brought out his close relatives. Went for resettlement. In this regard, he actually felt that Duan Lingtian was a little too cautious, because he was sure that as long as Duan Lingtian did not die, even if Duan Lingtian's close relatives stayed here, the two members of the Wanshan Chen family would never be able to do anything to Duan Lingtian. Start with your loved ones. Once they do that, they will become the public enemies of the world of gods and earth. In that case, let's take our leave first. Chen Zhouxiao took a deep look at Jiang Tianjing, and then left with Chen Mingho. While leaving, Chen Mingho said in a deep voice, "Grandpa, that Ling Tian came from the creation life plan world. He may not know that I master the infinite sword Dao, and he may not know that you and I will take action against him after he is promoted to He Dao. It must have been Jiang Tianjing who tipped off the news." He felt that if Jiang Tianjing hadn't tipped off the news, Duan Lingtian might not have been able to take such precautionary measures without leaking anything. So what? Chen Zhouxiao said calmly, "If he doesn't admit this kind of thing, how can we press his head and make him admit it? Don't forget, he is also a Hadao, and he is a Hadao who is stronger than you. Unless this kind of person can be killed directly, once he becomes an enemy, it will be harmful to our Wanshan Chen family." Hearing this, Chen Mingho's face darkened further, his eyes flashed with unwillingness, but he also knew that even if he was unwilling in his heart, there was nothing he could do. The Wanshan Chen family had made him a success, but now it also became a hindrance to him. In other words, it was not only his constraints, but also his grandfather's constraints. But, can they give up on the Wanshan Chen family? Of course it's impossible. After all, the current main direct lineage of the Wanshan Chen family is the descendants of him and his grandfather. They are all descendants with their blood flowing in their bodies. They have no way to care about their life or death. Compared to this, Jiang Tianjing did not leave any descendants. The reason why he protected the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom was simply because it was the headquarters of his Jiang family. It would be far less difficult for Jiang Tianjing to give up on the Jiang family than it would be for them to give up on the Wanshan Chen family. This is also the reason why Jiang Tianjing is still strong in front of his grandfather. If Jiang Tianjing is really angered, Jiang Tianjing can knock the table off. "Grandpa, since Duan Lingtian knew that we would cause trouble for him and left. I'm afraid it won't be easy to find him next. I feel like a knot in my throat is at the thought of such a person contending with me, Chen Mingho said in a reluctant tone. Chen Zhouxiao sighed, there is nothing we can do now, we can only take one step at a time. Duan Lingtian, since he has entered the Hedao realm, he shouldn't hide directly. Let's pay more attention to the news about him. Once confirm his whereabouts and take action, that's all it can do. Chen Mingho nodded, his eyes full of unwillingness. Although Jiang Tianjing, Yongye Divine Monk and Zhu Qingchuan all said that even if their close relatives stayed in the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, the two Hedao of the Wanshan Chen family would not be able to take action against them, Duan Lingtian was still worried. So, he took everyone away. They were placed in a small country that looked like a paradise, located further north of the Endless Sword territory to the north of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. With Yu Xiao's invincible strength in this small country, he was able to protect his loved ones. Nowadays, those who stay in Duan Mansion of Jianglan Divine Kingdom are basically people who have fled to the Divine Land world from the 10,000 realms and the lands outside the boundary to seek refuge with Duan Lingtian. The people over there, headed by Zhao Ani, are in charge of Duan Mansion and continue to receive old friends from Wanjie and beyond. It is impossible to withdraw. After all, Duan Lingtian still has many relatives and friends who have not been found. For example, there is no news about his son Duan Yantian, and it is not known where he has wandered in the world of gods and earth. When his wife Li Ru secretly, he often sheds tears for this, and Duan Lingtian couldn't help but feel heavy every time he saw this. However, his mentality is relatively good, and he feels that he has entered the Hedao realm. As long as his son is still alive, once he hears his name, he will definitely travel thousands of miles to the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom and return to Duan Mansion. I'll leave this to you. After settling his relatives and friends, Duan Lingtian said hello to Yu Xiao and then left. Next, he wants to find the new owner of the creation chart. Of course, he didn't tell anyone about this. Even Yu Xiao didn't know what he was going to do. He just thought that he was going to go out and make a name for himself in the entire divine world, so as to find those old friends who were living abroad. He is still injured, so this is a good opportunity for me. It would be perfect if I could kill him and get the creation life chart in my hand. Following the breath of the creation life chart he sensed after entering the Hedao realm, Duan Lingtian followed it all the way, thinking next, when you meet the current owner of the creation chart, you will definitely have to have a fierce battle, otherwise it will be difficult to conquer the creation. The natal chart is snatched. The opponent was injured, so he was very sure of defeating him, but it was very difficult to kill him. Even if the opponent's injury has not healed, he is still a genuine Hedao realm powerhouse, and he was even more powerful in the Hedao realm in his heyday before the injury than he is now. Chapter 4691. The Sea of Storms and Thunder is one of the many dangerous places in the world of gods and earth. Storms rage here all year round, thunder is entangled, and there are many dangers. The terrifying power of nature makes even ordinary Taoists dare not get involved easily. At this time, in the center of the Storm Thunder Sea, deep in the vast sea, there was a cave hidden under the sea. The cave is simple, with only a stone platform inside. At this time, sitting on the stone platform was a middle-aged man wearing a dark blue robe, with a thin body and ordinary appearance, but with a pair of bright eyes. In his hand, he was holding a strange disc. There is something empty on it. The shadow flickers like a holographic projection, looking mysterious and unpredictable. Finally, the world inside has been stabilized again. Yu Luohe breathed a sigh of relief, his eyes flashing. Next, I will also be able to quickly recover from my injuries with the help of some creatures in the creation life chart. With my further attainments in the way of living sacrifice now, I no longer need to be as timid as before. While muttering to himself, Yu Luo's eyes showed a bit of coldness. In the past, because his attainments in the way of life sacrifice were still shallow, after he obtained the creation life chart and constructed the world inside, in order to prevent the creatures inside from getting out of control, he set many restrictions for them. In the end, the last line of defense is the forbidden tribulation. With the taboo ring guarding the door, no matter how evil the creatures in the world of creation are, they can only reach the 6th level at most and cannot escape his control. Otherwise, once a large number of existences above the 7th level appear, it will be difficult to control him based on his attainments in the path of living sacrifice at that time. After all, his attainments in that path are still far away from the previous attainments of the old master of the path of living sacrifice. There is a long way to go. This creation chart is really a divine thing. Even I, who is in the Hadao realm, can't ignore its rules without destroying it or the world created on it. Although he, Yu Luohe, is the new owner of this creation life chart, before he masters the way of life sacrifice to a certain extent, he can also construct the world based on it, but he also needs to follow some of its rules. For example, there is no way to directly wipe out all life in the world of the creation chart. You can only spend some money and take advantage of the loopholes in the rules. For example, the Tower of Babel a few years ago was a platform he built to harvest resources. As long as the creatures in the creation life chart world enter it, he can use it to harvest those creatures. Last time the creation chart was damaged, not only a large number of living beings died, but also a large number of living beings wandered to all parts of the divine land. Thinking of what happened last time, Yu Luohe couldn't help but feel a pain in his body. If his whereabouts had not been exposed and he was surrounded and killed by a group of Hadao realm experts, he would not have been so passive. Not only was the creation chart damaged, but he himself was also seriously injured. What a pity. It's not easy for some high-quality materials to appear, but basically they all end up in the world of gods and earth. Thinking of the qualifications that he was interested in that could reach the 7th level or above, even though he had had many headaches, it did not affect Yu Luo's current feeling of disappointment. Suddenly, Yu Luo's consciousness was shaken, and his expression changed instantly. Not good. Someone from the Hadao realm is here. Yu Luohe never expected that he had been hiding for many years, even though this place was in a secluded location, and he didn't go out to show off. Why would someone from the Hadao realm come here to chase him? Moreover, it came directly towards him. Call out. A terrifying and shocking sword light descended from the sea, and it seemed to split the entire sea into two in an instant. The terrible pressure of the deep sea seems insignificant in front of this sword light, as if it is not worth mentioning, and its impact on it is almost non-existent. Boom. There was a loud noise, but it was Yu Luohe who evacuated the cave first, avoiding the terrifying sword light. At the same time, his face became extremely solemn. Infinite Sword Dao? Is this Chen Mingho from the Wanshan Chen family? Thinking of Chen Mingho, Yu Luo's eyes couldn't help but reveal some fear. Before he was injured, he really didn't take Chen Mingho's Hadao realm seriously, because the other party was not his opponent. And there is nothing that the other party can fear than the other Wanshan Chen family's Hadao behind him, Chen Zhouxiao. Chen Zhouxiao is one of the few superpowers in the world of gods and earth who combines the three realms. His strength is much stronger than what he was in his heyday. Last time, Chen Mingho was among those who surrounded and killed him, including Chen Zhouxiao. Chen Mingho is here. 9 times out of 10, Chen Zhouxiao is coming too. Without any hesitation, Yu Luo's first thought was to escape. He didn't even intend to fight with the opponent. He showed amazing speed in the deep sea, constantly flashing, and however, many underwater creatures were knocked away by him, one by one turned into powder under the impact of the extremely terrifying force. The deep sea is turbulent, and the violent vibrations caused by the terrifying power are like the scythe of death, harvesting all the deep sea creatures in a large area around it. The response is quick. The power around him was shaking brightly, like a young man enveloped by a huge sword light, rushing into the deep sea, chasing Yu Luohe at a lightning speed, with a light in his eyes. This person is naturally not Chen Mingho. Nowadays, in the world of gods and earth, in the Hadao realm where the infinite way and swordsmanship can be successfully combined, in addition to Chen Mingho, there is another Duan Lingtian. Of course, Yu Luohe has been hiding here, and naturally he has not received any news about Duan Lingtian's breakthrough and promotion to Hadao. Duan Lingtian continued to chase Yu Luohe. Seeing that the distance between the two was getting closer and closer at a slow speed, an extremely hot luster rose in his eyes, and the creation chart was in sight. At the same time, he also looked at the back of the figure he was following. This person should be the new owner of the creation chart, Yu Luohe. When Duan Lingtian was chasing Yu Luohe soon discovered that there was only one person behind him. His unfolded consciousness covered a large area of the nearby sea, and no second person was found. It's really true that a tiger is bullied by a dog. If I were in my heyday, Chen Mingho would not have the courage to chase me. Yu Luohe couldn't help but laugh at himself. The last time he managed to escape from so many Hadao-level attacks was because he used the life-saving means at the bottom of the box. Now, he no longer has those life-saving means to rely on. Therefore, even if he faced Chen Mingho's level of Hadao, he knew that he would be in danger this time. The heavenly words that appeared in the world and outside the world in the past were created by you specially, right? Seeing that he was about to catch up with Yu Luohe, Duan Lingtian asked with interest. He also didn't expect that one day he would still have to hunt down Tian Dao. Chapter 4692. In the abyss-like sea area, storms shook and thunder flashed. The sea water, which was shaking like boiling water, was suddenly rushed out of a channel rising into the sky by a swift figure. Yu Luohe ran out with an ugly expression. In his opinion, his chance of survival lay in the sea. In the deep sea of this sea of storms and thunder, storms are relatively calm. The most terrifying storms and thunders are above the sea. As long as he breaks out of the sea, even if the storm outside is difficult to stop the opponent, the other party wants to accurately attack. It's not that easy to keep an eye on him. Because the storm outside will not only affect the field of vision, but even affect the spiritual consciousness to a certain extent. His consciousness was affected, and it was not easy for the other party to target him. Damn dash. Chen Mingho dares to chase me alone. Yu Luohe looked aggrieved. He is also a famous figure in the world of gods and earth. The last time he faced many Hadao who joined forces, the people in the world of gods and earth, it seemed that he was destined to die. The group of Hadao who surrounded and killed him also felt the same way, but it was too late. But he escaped from death. In that battle, he escaped successfully at the cost of serious injuries to himself and damage to his birth chart, and at the same time, he shocked the entire world of gods and earth. It can be said that after that battle, although he was injured and in physical pain, his heart was happy. After all, he, Yu Luohe, was the first to escape from the alliance of the top Hadao in the world of gods and earth. For example, the old master of the creation life chart in the past was slaughtered when faced with a siege, and his body and soul disappear. The fact that he was able to do this in Luo, he undoubtedly shows that he is stronger than the old master of the creation chart. Although his current attainments in the way of living sacrifice are not as good as those of the other party, his reputation in the world of gods and earth is already greater than that of the other party. As for the way of living sacrifice, as long as he can survive well, as long as he is given time, he will be able to rely on it sooner or later. Creation, the horoscope, takes it a step further. Not only does he need to understand the way of living sacrifice to the 9th level, but he also needs to integrate the way of living sacrifice into the 2 ways that he originally combined. As long as the 3 paths are completed, looking at the entire world of gods and earth, he really has nothing to fear. Even if he faced the last siege, he would still have enough strength to retreat calmly, and he would not need to rely on any special means of escape. Recently, Yu Luohe has been hiding in the depths of this sea of storms and thunder, preparing to recuperate from his injuries while repairing the creation life chart, and then participate in the way of life sacrifice, and then continue his unfinished feat. He is already looking forward to the scene in the future when the 3 of them will combine to traverse the world of gods and earth. When the time comes, no one can kill him, but now, he is being chased, or by someone weaker than himself. How can this make him not feel aggrieved or depressed now? Wrong. Suddenly, Yu Luohe heard the sound coming from behind and felt something was wrong. The heavenly words that appeared in the world and outside the world in the past were created by you specially, right? Such a sentence, if it were Chen Mingho's words, would seem a bit abrupt. This Chen Mingho is not from Wanjie or the land beyond the boundary. Of course, Chen Mingho may be able to learn about everything that happened there, including the so-called Tiandao script, through the people left behind in the world of the gods and the world outside the world, but the other party will definitely not take it seriously, let alone bring it up at this critical moment. Yu Luohe subconsciously turned his head slightly and saw clearly the face of the pursuer at a glance. After all, he had forced a passage out of the storm and thunder sea, and the other party was also in this passage with him. Without the influence of the special environment of the storm and thunder sea, he could clearly see the other party's appearance. Duan Lingtian. With just one glance, Yu Luohe recognized the person who was chasing him. He was a celebrity in the creation world. He was also an invincible existence in the creation world. He was also the one who was fighting against him. His master was the first to break his destiny in the creation of the world, the blockade within Pan World. Through the creation chart, he could actually see everything inside easily. It's just that due to some rules and restrictions in the creation life chart world, even if he is the owner of the creation life chart, he cannot directly intervene in the life and death of the people in it, unless he allows everyone in it to be buried with him. However, it was naturally impossible for him to do that. In his eyes, all the living beings in the creation world are the material that he has raised in it. He needs to use them in practicing the way of life sacrifice, so naturally it is impossible to destroy them. After all, once they are destroyed, the creation chart will become useless and meaningless. Of course, there is another way, which is to lure the other party out of the creation life chart world, but once the channel is opened, a new entry and exit of the creation life chart will be exposed in the world of gods and earth, and the traces will be exposed. Once he was guarded by the backhand arranged by those powerful people in the world of gods and earth, he would have no way to get close. Just like the multiple entrances that connect the world of creation and life to the world of gods and earth, although he knew where he was in the world of gods and earth, he did not dare to get close, because once he got close, he would expose himself. Those original entrances and exits were not made by him, nor by the old owner of the creation chart, but by several people who obtained the disintegrated creation chart after the old owner of the creation chart died. The top power in the world of gods and earth, it was developed with great effort. It is precisely because of this that with the death of the old owner of the creation life chart, the life before the historical separation, such as the old man Wukong who died in the creation life chart, did not know the world they were in. What's the mystery? The entrance leads to the mysterious world. Only Duan Lingtian and other beings who are in the creation world after the historical separation can have access to the 9 entrances. How can it be? He actually joined forces? Yu Luohe only felt a numbness in his scalp. He never expected that Duan Lingtian would join forces. How long had it been? From the last serious injury to now, less than 100 years have passed. And he remembered very clearly that decades ago, although Duan Lingtian had entered the 8th level of the most powerful, that is, the 8th level of the Tao, he had only entered it for the first time. In just a few decades, Ling Tianruo had only been promoted to the 9th level of the Tao. Although he was equally shocked, he could still reluctantly accept it. But now, during this period, Ling Tian directly crossed the 9th level of the Tao and entered the He Tao, He Tao. Who among the people in the world of gods and earth does not know that it is difficult to follow the path and reach the sky? This period of time, Ling Tian, a life from the creation life chart world, actually merged with the Tao? No wonder he can track me. Damn it. He is a life born in the world of creation life plan. Before he was promoted to He Tao, he could not communicate with the power of He Tao and could not detect the breath of creation life plan. But now he has stepped into He Tao, the power of He Tao is overwhelming, and the temple unexpectedly, he would naturally be able to detect the breath of the creation life chart that he could not detect before. Seeing Duan Lingtian getting closer and closer, Yu Luohe felt a little desperate. Could it be that he, the master of the creation chart, was going to die at the hands of a being who in the past was just a mere material in his eyes? He is not willing to give in. No matter how talented Duan Lingtian is, even if he stepped into the 7th level under his nose in the past, in his eyes, the other party is still qualified and he has never looked at the other party. But now, less than 100 years have passed since the last time the creation chart was exposed and he was besieged and killed. The qualifications he once regarded as his own have actually caught up with him and entered the world of gods and earth. The sealing cultivation realm, the He Tao realm. Chapter 4693. Duan Lingtian took action. Call out. The deep sea above the head shook, and the rolling power of the infinite swordsmanship swept down from the horizon, like a stream of stars, perfectly integrated with the sword wielded by Duan Lingtian, showing extremely terrifying power, as if the sword is slashed out, it can kill everything. The sword light roared in all directions, slashing at Yu Luohe, who was running for his life in front. Duan Lingtian's eyes were solemn, with a bit of expectation. As long as he kills Yu Luohe, he can get the creation chart. The creation chart is related to his former hometown, the land outside the world, and the world. Who would be willing to leave their hometown if they could return to their hometown? He wanted the creation life chart and had no intention of practicing the way of life sacrifice. He just wanted to see if his hometown was still there. If it was still fragmented, was there a way to repair it through the creation life chart? It stands to reason that there is a high probability that it can be repaired. After all, whether it is the 10,000 worlds or the land outside the world, it is the world opened up by the creation life chart. Duan Lingtian, if I hadn't been injured, how could I have allowed you to be so presumptuous? Yu Luohe shouted angrily, his voice filled with unwillingness, but he did not sit still and wait for death. He turned around and struck out like lightning, and a bright sword light roared out to meet him. With the power of Hadao that also fell from the sky and broke through the deep sea, he wanted to fight with Duan Lingtian compete. In an instant, two terrifying forces collided with each other as the swords intersected, making an earth-shattering noise. The aftermath of the terrifying power raged, even evaporating the water in this area of the sea. A large vacuum area appeared. Puff dash. The sword light finally overcame the sword light. Yu Luohe, who had not fully recovered from his injuries, opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, and retreated while taking action. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, is taking advantage of the victory to pursue it. At the same time, Chen Mingho went to Jianglan Divine Kingdom with his grandfather and failed to capture Duan Lingtian. Not long after returning to the Wanshan Chen family, he felt the vibration of the power of Hadao in the sky. It was obvious that someone was taking action and was using the infinite sword he had combined. The power of Dao. Looking at the entire world of gods and earth, before Duan Lingtian appeared, he was the only one who enjoyed this path, and no other person could share the infinite sword path. That is to say, Duan Lingtian, an otherworldly creature from the world of creation lifepan, didn't understand anything, yet he had no worries about the infinite sword Dao, which made him passive for a time, and the power of the He Dao was divided, which also meant that his strength will be subject to influence. It would be fine if the other party acted honestly, but if the other party forced too much Hadao power when he took action, it would undoubtedly affect his performance. The power of He Dao is so vibrating. Duan Lingtian, are you fighting with someone? In terms of familiarity with the power of infinite sword Dao, throughout the entire world of gods and earth, no one can compare with Chen Mingho, even if he just succeeded in He Dao of infinite sword Dao. Duan Lingtian did the same thing not long after. After all, Chen Mingho had already mastered the infinite swordsmanship. Have enjoyed this path exclusively for many years. Now, with this abnormal movement, he can naturally see the source of the abnormal movement. The power of Hadao is so turbulent, he is definitely fighting with other Hadao realms. If he just breaks into the Dao, there is no need to use so much power of Hadao. It was not difficult for Chen Mingho to confirm this. After confirming, he narrowed his eyes, a cold light flashed, and at the same time, a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Avoiding me, right? You can hide for a while, but you can hide for a lifetime. Just like now, do you want to enjoy the power of Hadao? Dream. Chen Mingho immediately left the Wanshan Chen family and found a secluded place. With full firepower, he tried his best to use the power of infinite swordsmanship to forcibly **** away the power of Hadao that had been borrowed by Duan Lingtian. Phew. And this also directly caused the power of Duan Lingtian's shots to drop sharply. This is. Yu Luohe naturally discovered such an obvious change in the decline of Hadao's power. He had already had the will to die because he was injured and was no match for Duan Lingtian. But I didn't expect that it would take a turn. Has the power of infinite swordsmanship been diverted? After seeing this, Yu Luohe couldn't help laughing. Duan Lingtian, it seems that the sky will not stop me today. You are not the only one who can master this infinite sword power in this generation. It seems that Chen Mingho from the Wanshan Chen family intends to help me. Next time we meet, I must thank him. When Duan Lingtian was chasing him, he thought it was Chen Mingho from the Wanshan Chen family, because Chen Mingho combined the infinite way and the way of the sword, but later he found out that it was Chen Mingho from the Wanshan Chen sect. Duan Lingtian actually joined forces with Chen Mingho in the way of conflict. When Duan Lingtian took action, he didn't think that if Chen Mingho took action at the same time and snatched the power of He Dao, it would affect Duan Lingtian's performance. But, just think about it. Because, in his opinion, Chen Mingho is unlikely to offend Duan Lingtian so blatantly. After all, this time he can steal Duan Lingtian's power of harmony, but next time he fights with others, Duan Lingtian can definitely take revenge. Go. When is the time for retribution? In this case, both parties usually compromise with each other. However, what he didn't expect was that Chen Mingho actually took action. Moreover, looking at this posture, it is obvious that he is robbing the power of He Dao without any reservation. Duan Lingtian, as long as you don't conform to the third path, it will be difficult to kill me, unless Chen Mingho doesn't fight with you. However, judging from the current situation, Chen Mingho must have a grudge against you for joining the infinite sword path. Otherwise it would not be possible to ***** the power of He Dao at such a critical moment. When I regain my strength, even if Chen Mingho doesn't fight with you, don't even think about killing me. Ha ha. Yu Luo's figure turned into a blade of light, broke out of the sea, and instantly disappeared into the storm and thunder, gradually drifting away. When Duan Lingtian's He Dao power was forcibly snatched away by Chen Mingho, he was about to kill Yu Luohe successfully, but in the end, he missed a move and Yu Luohe took the opportunity to escape from Duan Lingtian's lock, with the cover of storm thunder. Again, in addition, Chen Mingho continues to ***** the power of He Dao, and it is no longer realistic for him to kill Yu Luohe. Continuing the pursuit, it was confirmed that Yu Luohe was faster than him and the distance became wider and wider. Duan Lingtian did not continue the pursuit, but paused, because he knew that this time it must be a failure. We can only wait until next time to take action. Anyway, unless Yu Luohe abandons his creation life chart, he can find him. Moreover, even if Yu Luohe abandons the creation life chart, he can still find the creation life chart. It will be even better when the time comes. He can successfully obtain the creation life chart without having to fight Yu Luohe. After all, his purpose in chasing Yu Luohe was to create the life chart. Chen Mingho. Duan Lingtian's face turned gloomy and ugly when he thought of the initiator who led to his failure in chasing Yu Luohe. He didn't even offend the other party, but the other party misunderstood him like this. Damn it. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's eyes also pulsed with murderous intent that could not be concealed. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.